Ashley Anderson. This is task 1, putting a large dog in a cage. So I'm going to open the cage door, bring Joey in, hold this so she cannot escape while I reach in and grab the lead. Close the door and double check that it is closed. Anderson, and this is task 2, removing a large dog from the cage. So I'm going to go over here. I have obtained a leash. I have assured that it is the correct loop size for the dog, while holding my foot here so the dog cannot escape. I'll open the cage, loop the leash around, make sure it's tightened, and then take the dog out. This is task 3, putting the kitty back in the carrier. So I have her here with my opposite hand under the abdomen. I'm going to scruff her by the neck, bring her in here, release the scruff once her feet touch the carrier, put her back in, and then close the door and double check that it's closed. This is Ashley Anderson. This is task 4, removing cat from carrier. So I have Kitty here. So I'm going to open the cage door. I'm going to distract her with this hand. Then I'm going to grab her by the neck back here and carefully pull her out. And then place the opposite hand underneath her chest and then hold her against my body. This is Ashley Anderson. This is task 5, restrain a dog in sternal competency. So this is Bella. She's in a sitting position. And take my hand and my arm wrapped around her face so that she won't bite me. Gently use my body to elevate her forward. This is Ashley Anderson. This is task 6, restraining a dog in lateral competency. So I'm going to take her and gently lower her down. I'm going to position my hand and arm where she can't fight personnel. Restrain dog for eye medication. So we have Rufus here, so we're just gonna sit. Yes. And then I'm gonna hold him up here so that he can't, and then Lindsay is going to place the dropper in the eye while I restrain. Perfect. Restrain for cephalic venipuncture. So I have Newton here. Newton, please sit. Newton, sit. Good boy. So I'm going to come beside him. I'm going to hold his head to protect my technician. I'm going to extend his arm out and roll and compress the vein so that Lindsay here can find it. And she's going to draw back. Okay. And then I'm going to hold and compress the vein to apply pressure so it doesn't get a hematoma. And this is task 9, restraining for saphenous venipuncture. So I'm going to get Newton here in a lateral competency. So Newton, will you sit? Sit. Good boy. Lay down. Good boy. And I'm going to roll over. He's more comfortable on this side. So I'm going to gently roll him over here. Good boy. Lay down. Good boy. And then I'm going to hold his head here to protect my technician, and then I'm going to compress the vein back here so that Lindsay can draw. And then as she pulls the needle out, I'm going to compress the vein and hold it off. This is Ashley Anderson, and this is task 10. I'm going to restrain for a jugular venipuncture, so I'm going to get Newton to sit. Newton, can you sit? Sit. 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 Good boy. Sit. You can do it. Good boy. So I'm going to come behind him and I'm going to elevate his head here so that Lindsay here can palpate the jugular. I'm going to hold his head firm for the position and to protect her so she does not get bit. Okay. Then when she pulls out, I'm going to hold and compress the vein to hold pressure to it so he doesn't get a hematoma. This is Ashley Anderson, and this is task 11, applying a gauze muzzle. So I have the gauze here, and I've tied it in the first loop like you're tying a shoe. So this first part's going to go over his muzzle, and then I'm going to tie it in another loop underneath here, and then I'm going to tie it in a bow behind his ears like this. Good boy! This is Ashley Anderson and this is task 12, applying a nylon muzzle. This is Bowser. I have the nylon muzzle here and a clips. So I'm going to just put this on him underneath. Straighten it like that. Task 13, and I'm Ashley Anderson applying an e-collar. So I have an e-collar, it's the appropriate size for this guy. So I'm going to wrap this around him here. And so you want it tight enough so where they can't take it off, but not too tight where it's, you know, choking them. So I'm going to clasp all the clasps here. So there's 3 total ones. Then I'm going to make sure his ear's under there, and then I'm going to pull it to make sure he can't get out of it. This is Ashley Anderson, and this is task 14. Removing a dog out of a kennel with a rabies pool. So I have my rabies pool here. So to loosen it, you just you lift this piece up, and it kind of gives you a slap. And then you pull this when you have the dog out. So I'm going to come in this cage here. I'm going to sneak the pole in here, put this over his neck, and then I'm going to tighten it around, and then I'm going to pull him out, making sure that he can't get to me and to ensure staff safety. This is Ashley Anderson, and this is task 15, a physical exam. So I'm going to do a physical exam on this guy. The first thing I'm going to notice is just, you know, how he is in the room. So he's whining, so he's a little bit anxious, but he's bright, he's alert, his tail is wagging, his gait's pretty normal. I don't see any lameness, any weakness in his legs. He's very alert and curious. He's sniffing other dogs. His body score condition so far looks good. I haven't felt him yet, but I can see the nice line right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is weigh him. So we're going to go over here, and we're going to put him on the scale. Rufus, up. Rufus, up. He wants to go everywhere but the scale. Here, honey. Sit. Sit. Stay. So he is 15.6 kilograms. So you multiply. So that's what we want for pounds. You multiply by 2.2. So we're gonna go back in the room here. Come on, buddy. So I'm gonna start from stem to stern with him. So the first thing I'm gonna look at is his face here, and so he doesn't have any nasal discharge coming from his mouth. His eyes look good. There's no squinting or redness. I don't see any age-related changes going on, any masses. I'm gonna look at his teeth here. So you definitely see he does have some tartar back here. So one thing we would recommend would be a dental. So he's got some back here in his main molar. I'm going to check his perfusion status. So he's nice and moist, and he's pink and less than 2. So with that, and then the skin tugger right here, he looks full hydrated. He's got the floppy ears, so we're going to look in his ears. And these things look real good. They're not red, they're nice and pink, and they don't have an odor to them. I'm going to look at the both sides here. Then I'm going to work my way down. I'm going to feel for his mandibular lymph nodes, which I don't really feel anything. Feel for his, I can palpate, I can feel his trachea, it seems normal. He's not coughing as I'm doing it. I'm going to go down here and feel for the lymph nodes down here. So I can feel his scapular ones here, one on this side versus the other, but they're both mobile and they're really small. So then I'm going to make my way down. So we're going to get him up. And I'm just going to feel him, his joints. He's got good range of motion on his joints here. He's not giving me any signs of pain when I manipulate. His nails look like they need to be cut, but they're not terrible, and there's no scuff marks. And his paw pads here look good, and no signs of discomfort. I'm going to do the same with this leg. Manipulate, lift it up, move it. Look at his paw pads and his nails. And then I'm going to work my way back here so I can feel his ribs. So I think he's probably got a 4 or 5 body score condition, so he's right where he needs to be. I don't feel any masses. Down here his belly's nice and soft. and he's not responding to my manipulating. I can feel his bladder just a little bit, so he's got to go potty. His pre-piece is back here, and there's no oozing or anything that's red, no urine scald or anything like that. As I'm moving, I'm kind of pressing on his back a little bit, and he's not showing me any signs of pain. I'm going to go back here and feel inside, feel his inguinal lymph nodes. And again, I'm kind of pressing a little bit on his hips here, and again, he's not responding to any of that. I'm going to move back here and feel the lymph nodes back here, which are good. And then I'm going to do the same thing, kind of just manipulate his feet, see if he's giving me any signs of discomfort. I'm going to look at his toes, and then on the other side. And then I'm going to look at his bottom to make sure that there's no redness or odor or anything like an infected anal gland or anything like that, and it's nice and good. Good boy. Normally I would have an assistant restraining this dog, however he's my own dog, so I know he'll be good for it, but if I was doing this on a dog, an owner's dog, I would definitely have someone restraining him. So breathing wise, he's panting, he's a little nervous, but not too bad. He's not apneic, and he's not abdominal breathing. I'm going to listen to him now. I'm going to listen on both sides. He's good. He's got a nice, crisp, love-dub heart rate, so he does not have a murmur in my opinion. He also sounds equal on both sides, and so now I'm going to listen and get his normal pulse. So they're both equal. There's no pulse deficits. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take his temperature. So I'm going to grab my thermometer here. And I'm going to lift him up here. And I'm going to poke him in. Good boy. I know, what am I doing? There you go, good boy. I know, I'm sorry. I know. And he is 99.8. This is Ashley Anderson, and this is a TPR and listening to a kitty. So this is Bowser here. So Bowser is bright and alert. It's my first impression of him. He's curious, he's looking around, he's not sleeping. He definitely is nervous because he's shedding quite a bit, but that's normal for a kitty. He looks well kept, well groomed, so he's keeping up with that. I'm petting him, and nothing is, signifying that he's in pain or anything like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to weigh him. So I'm going to put him on here. Hi, sweet buddy. So cats are kind of tricky to weigh because they always want to move. So he's at 5.08. He's trying to muzzle me at the same time. I'm going to look at his teeth and look at his gum color. So since he's comfortable here, I'm going to kind of work where he wants to work first. So he's nice and pink. His CRT is less than 2. He's got a little bit of dental debris in his mouth, but it's not terrible. Just because he's a kitty, I always look at their nose and their eyes, and there's no discharge or any crustiness going on there. So I'm going to listen to him. I'm going to listen on both sides, the left and the right. Want me to turn him for you? You okay? So first I'm going to do this side. So to calculate his heart rate, you count for 15 seconds, and then you times it by 4, or you can count by 10 seconds and times it by 6. And then listen to the other side. So his heart sounds good. I'm gonna listen to him and then feel his pulse too, so just make sure there's no deficits. And for every heartbeat I hear, I feel a pulse. I don't hear any murmurs. I hear the nice crisp lub-dub. So now I'm going to get his respiratory rate, and for his respiratory rate, you do the same thing, count for 15 seconds, and then multiply it by 4. So far everything's normal. His heart rate's 180, which is within normal for a kitty, and then his respirator's 36 with some sniffing there and there. So the last, evil deed I have to do for this poor guy is get his temperature. So I'm going to have Lindsay hold him for me, and I'm going to place the lube in, and this is going to go right into his bum very gently. Good boy, Bowser, so good. So his temperature is 100.7, which is in normal limits.